So in chapter 2, section 7, we're dealing with inequalities. And so I want to look at a couple problems and give you a graphical way of solving these problems. And then I'll probably do a supplement for an algebraic way. So like on number 2, it says x cubed plus 4x squared minus 16x is less than or equal to 64. So if I was looking at a graphical approach to this, I would probably set one side equal to 0 either way. I was doing this. And then I would have x cubed plus 4x squared minus 16x minus 64. So this is going to give me a graph, and if I, set it less than or equal to 0, I'm looking for all the x values that's going to make it less than 0, the y value less than 0. So I see it, all the values on this thing less than 4, because I know a cubic has this type of motion, right? So it's going up, down, then back up. So it goes from left to right. Everything to the left of 4 is beneath the x-axis, so it's less than or equal to 0. So if I was doing that, that's why their answer that we can see here makes sense. It's less than 4. And that's how we would graph it on a number line, to be less than or equal to 0. And again, I'll show a way to do it algebraically on the supplement. If we're looking at number 4, so this one has a good old rational function, and I'm going to do the same thing for that graphical approach. And so I have 5 plus 3x. On the bottom I have 1 plus 2x. And if I subtract that 2 over, I have minus 2. So that means I'd want the left-hand side to be less than or equal to 0. And so when is this thing less than or equal to 0? Well, it looks like everything to the left here, that's true with, right? So I have from all my y values. Oh, this one's a little bit harder to tell because if I'm at 0, I get positive values. But if I'm right around here, maybe where that vertical asymptote is. Again, we should have a vertical asymptote of negative 1/2. So we can see that. So everything to the left of negative 1/2, I'm underneath the x-axis, so I'm less than or equal to 0. And it appears somewhere around there, right at 3, is when my y values are positive here, and then after 3 they become negative. So that's something that we could also visually look at and see, oh, this kind of makes sense from negative infinity to negative 1/2, not including negative 1/2 because it's a vertical asymptote. And then right at 3 I'm equal to 0, so I'd be less than or equal to 0. Again, moving that 2 to the other side, I am less than or equal to 0. So that would be a visual approach for number 4, and we could see how they graph it down here. So I'll make a supplement for these and show you how to do them algebraically, and then that should wrap up chapter 2.